7:30 p.m. We will now stand. Oh, we'll call the roll.
Okay.
Look at those mirrors.
Take down.
They go
Trustee Danielle Rubin.
here.
Trustee Elliot Robin. Here. Trustee Stephen Mosher. Here. Trustee Kate Cassell McNally.
Here.
Supervisor Gail Chester Eisenberg.
Here.
Assessor Jan Churchwell.
Here.
And Administrator Larisha Hopkins.
Here.
Madam President, we have a form for business.
Wonderful. We'll now stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Supervisors reports. We've had a busy 2 months. Obviously, I'll leave to our esteemed clerk to talk about the annual meeting. One of the biggest things we did was we increased the general assistance and emergency assistance payment levels to account for inflation, which are now hooked to the federal poverty rates going forward. I'm very excited that our state senator, Laura Fine, has included a request for $100,000 in the capital budget for our basement remodel so that we can remediate all of the asbestos and anything other special things that might show up, and make sure that we are finally having more usable space, because it still looks like a former bank vault. So I'm hopeful that will go through. As you noticed in Larisha's report, we did have an RFP process for that project, and we are happy with the bid that we originally had thought we were going with, but because it was over the statutory limit, we did have to put out the RFP. The other applicants didn't even meet standards. Most of them didn't even
Return information.
either return information, respond, or didn't even change, the name Chicago to New Trier. So, so yes, we have someone who we've worked with in the past, and we cares for us. Evening hours have started, and we're getting great responses from working families who are not otherwise able to come to the pantry. And that is made possible by having Arnold stay later on days that we have peer jury, so we have multiple people here. So that's been very exciting. We also had our intergovernmental orientation, so I was very glad that Kate and our new trustees were able to come to that orientation at the library, the Wilmette Library, shared amongst all of the entities that cover Wilmette. We had a speaker on parliamentary procedure and boardsmanship, and then introductions from all the various entities. But it'll just be the beginning, of course. We had Township Officials Lobby Day, which was a wonderful opportunity to thank our own legislators that represent this area for their support of the township. Most of the bills that TAC and Toy had been most fearful about, which we will discuss when we get to the resolution, are not moving. So a lot of it was talking about some of the smaller changes to the township code that are still important to making sure we have functional government, but we can't get everything. So it was a very effective time. And so I was there, and also some of our neighboring townships as well. The TAC conference is coming up coincidentally in June. I'll speak on parliamentary procedures. And the township lawyers is on this Friday. I think we still have one extra ticket.
No, they're giving us a refund.
Oh, fabulous.
Mhm.
All right. Jocelyn threw a lovely event to kick off Mental Health Awareness Month, where they also talked about young people and technology, and scared me half to death. But it was wonderful to hear from one of our agencies on that topic. The Winnetka Northfield Glencoe Chamber of Commerce also had a lovely lunch as well, where we got to thank some of our partners in the business community. Most recently, Snap, the dance studio in Wilmette, did a wonderful bake sale for us that raised over $600 in one day for the Angel Fund and Food Pantry. And our friends over at the Glencoe post office were nice enough to collect as part of Stamp Out Hunger for the food pantry over the weekend. And we got 2 carfuls of goods from our friends in the Postal Carriers Union. So that was wonderful. And we'll, if you're interested in talking more about the shred event, we can talk about that later, but we also have lots of new pets around the township, including 2 sets of goslings that showed up for the shred event and a baby squirrel that made its way into the township building. So I'm sure there's more than forgetting, but we'll keep it moving. Yep. All right, we are in line for approval of minutes, March 11, 2025 meeting minutes.
I just want to say one thing. I'd like to commend the supervisor on the initiative with Senator Laura Fine. She's been a wonderful friend of townships in general, and this township in particular, and taking the initiative and approaching her with the possibility that we might get some funding for our construction in the basement. It's just outstanding. So hopefully that'll go through, and if it does, even if it doesn't, thank you for the effort.
Yeah, we're trying. And yeah, we had a couple months ago, we had the entire delegation here to tour. The rest of the delegation was prepared to do the same, but they talk amongst themselves and divvy up the requests. So I don't want anyone to think, you know, that we're favoriting Laura, but we are thankful that she did put that in as well. And I think Mark Peterson for bringing up the concept of the capital bill as being an option, and both Northfield and Niles for getting money from the state before me, so I knew that it was possible. So, okay. Approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes,
Okay.
page 2, clerk's report, second paragraph, second bullet point. Let's put a comma at the end of it to make it consistent. 5th bullet point, you need and at the very end. And the last bullet point, I think we might have a spacing issue at the very beginning. I want to check. Page 3, the second line at the top, we need a period at the end. Page 4, the assessor's report, I think that Assessor Churchwell's name is incorrect, second word.
I can sure. Forgive me, that's it.
Obviously, it's okay with me.
I type with 2 fingers and it's like, sorry. No,
Thank you, Kate.
Any other changes?
That's it.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the March 2025 meeting minutes as revised, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, they are passed. Okay. And that, looking at the minutes, reminding me, I just wanted to point out, as a part of the intergovernmental work on mental health, we did do, there was a wonderful multi-page article in the Wilmette Living magazine. So about the initiative and about mental health sources that are available. And also Wilmette put out a special issue on mental health and did note which of our organizations are funded by the township, so that they know that they exist for a reason. So I just wanted to know that as well. Okay, clerk's report.
So I have 3 areas to talk about. First of all, since it's our first meeting, since our first business meeting, since March, so therefore, we have a new board, they've been elected. And I just want to announce officially, you can look at the election results on page 30 to 31 in the results, and the county clerk very efficiently has all the results and the data up there. I was thinking about embarrassing for you, but you know, you can reference that. But congrats, you all won, and or the group here won, and then the second thing is professional development. I just want to share with you that it's been a very exciting past few months for me. One thing is, most recently I hosted the top board meeting. So that's officials from all across the 29 townships, and we met in this boardroom. They were really happy to be here. And it was really nice to host them and have them come the furthest northeast. The other thing is that I attended a toy webinar on the annual town meeting, which I'll talk about in a minute, and I was chuckling like, you know, I've done this so many times, I really enjoy it, it's my thing, but it was fun to be on a webinar where there were so many questions about so many things, or what to do, even though there's always more to learn. And I'm excited already about next year. Then also, we had a great clerks meeting, hosted by Northfield Township. And one thing that was really sweet, the supervisor of Northfield Township mentioned the relationship with others and cooperation. And so it was kind of sweet. Gail, you should know that she singled out, the relationship, I guess, New Niles and Northfield have done a lot. Not that they weren't friendly in the past, but a lot of really nice, like, sharing. And then finally, I went to the state of the county address, which was interesting, over at the North Shore Senior Center. And it was interesting. The commissioner for our district pointed out a whole bunch of options through the Cook County Clerk's office, which is the #1 office in the county, by the way, not the president's office. It's the clerk's office. Most employees, the most important issues, including things on vital issues. So Gail and I are talking about that, maybe approaching some initiative to do here in the township, maybe. But there's some excitement on that, and it was a good address. And then, finally, the annual town meeting. Thank you to the staff, Larisha and crew. You guys always help out to the max. And this time it's exactly the same. And to the elected officials, our new ones and our old. I was very pleased. The location, the speaker, the vibe. It was a really nice event. For me, I felt like it was nice. Of course, there's always things to criticize and get change for next year. But on the whole, I hope that the people that attended had a nice vibe and a nice feeling about the services that their township government provides. And one last remark, if you want to watch it again, New Trier gracious and generously, I should say, taped it all for us, organized it all, put headings in and everything. I mean, it's really way above and beyond. And that's kind of an indication of the way they feel about Gene. Gene, you're here tonight, isn't that funny? Like, good things I hear from Pat Schneider and the superintendent, all the good things about you guys and the way they feel. And so I thought they did that way extra.
Where's it available?
It's on our
On our
website. Yeah, on our YouTube.
I thought there was another.
It's already been posted. It's just really nice. Considering last year, I still gotta get like your presentation from your wife or something, so we can piece together something. But we dropped the ball last year. Now it's just so nice and they're really well done. And so that is the end of my.
Jerome, what group did you have up here? Was it the clerk?
It was a township officials of Cook County Board.
Oh.
So every division has, like the clerk's meeting, I'm very fond of, but overarching all of that is the township of Cook County Board. And then they're part of the toy. So, but it's a nice board to be part of. I'm the secretary.
Thank you for your participation and for hosting. You bring a great deal of pride and honor to the township by being heavily involved at that level.
I did forget that we did have supervisors, township officials, Cook County, which was a lovely meeting, also about mental health issues, up in Elk Grove. So it is a very large county. All right. Yeah, and they also showed us the pantry.
Oh, and if you have ideas for next year's annual town meeting, it's not too early to think about it.
We're working on it.
And we're already thinking, dreaming, maybe.
What village are we hosting in this year? Next year?
It's supposed to go to Winnetka next year in the rotation.
Okay, so
Thoughts of what?
That's a bit.
Well, Jerome, thank you for putting together such a great meeting. It went really, really well, and just thank you for all of your hard work.
The balloons were given out the next day to children who came for passports. So, no waste. All right, financial report, James.
All right, good evening, everybody. Tonight we'll walk through the 2 months ended April 30th. So again, we're into our new fiscal year 2026 and we're 17% of the way through. Taking a look at some revenue highlights. Again, the first installment's in. You can see 1.9 million collected for property taxes. Our budget's 3.7 million. So we're at 52% again on the first installment. That is typically the trend. We should be roughly at 50%. Now, I did just get news that tax bills may be late again, but we've built a reserve to cover that or bridge the gap. But that was in the news recently. So again, no real concern for us in terms of cash, but something just to be aware of. Replacement taxes in at about 12% of the budget. So again, remember, we reduced that budget knowing the state recoups some of that money. Interest, though, looks to be a beat so far. We're at 26% of that budget, about 13,000 collected there, and about 8,500 for passports, again, higher than where we are in the year at 28% of the budget. All in, just shy of 2 million. We budgeted 3.9 million for our total revenue budget. We're at 51%. Again, 2 months in, we're always going to start the year a little top heavy as those taxes come in at the beginning of our fiscal year. As we look at the expenditures, not a whole lot going on yet for agency or childcare. Again, that happens a little bit later on in the year. But I'm gonna take you down to some contractual services. A lot of this skewed upward just based on the expenditures for Civic Plus that was built in under that line account. A little bit high on office supplies, but again, this is a pretty small dollar amount, so you see 27%, and then some other expenditures at 34. So nothing too concerning on those two. A little bit high on financial services, but only 2% of the overall budget. All in, looking very good. Obviously, still more to go in the fiscal year, but at 279,000 spent, we budgeted about 4 million on the expenditure side. We're only at 7%. But again, agency and childcare payments have yet to happen. Surplus right now at about 1.7 million. Again, we're going to spend that down until we receive the next tax installment. Beginning fund balance north of 2.2 million brings us to about 3.9 million in ending fund balance. And again, these ratios we look at towards the end of the year as we continue rebalancing town and GA. But remember, we've done that now. This will be our second year, or second or third year. And again, that has worked really well for us to get us past tax objection territory. As we look at the distribution, taxes are going to lead the way at 98.5% of the revenue, replacement tax 0.3, passports 0.4, interest 0.7. And then on the expenditure side, again, it's a little bit skewed just based on when that money goes out the door, but contractual services about 25%, office supplies 1%, assessor 4%, billing town hall about 4%, financial assistance 25%, the pantry 9%, personnel costs at 27%, elected officials 3%. So again, revenues over expenditures to start the year, that's common for us just based on when those tax payments hit the books in terms of revenue. And then again, you can see a lot of the agency programs, nothing has gone out yet. Again, that's going to happen in quarterly installments typically, I believe, as well as childcare. So again, more to come there. As you see, most of the spend here pertains to some of our contractual categories, as well as personnel costs. Outside of that, I'm going to take us to the investment report, just to show you that 3.9 million, pretty much mirroring our fund balance position. We've got good investments yielding over 4% in our Schwab accounts. Because some of the tax money just came in, we will be rebalancing some of the BMO monies into the money market account. But again, we've got ample reserves at this point. We could probably stand to move a little bit more money into Schwab. The Fed just had a meeting. They're holding on rates. And I think because of the tariffs clouding kind of the macro picture, we're not really quite sure what's going to happen in June. They're still predicting about 2 or 3 rate cuts, but it would be a good opportunity possibly to move some more money to Sawyer Faldudo if the boards saw fit. Again, in terms of inflation, the read just came out at 2.3, so it came down slightly. But again, tariffs haven't really been baked into that number as they expect those tariffs to increase inflation. And so that hasn't happened yet as it's more of a lagging indicator in terms of the 2.3. Outside of that, I'll leave the bill list up for you to approve, and I'd be happy to take any questions from the board.
Questions?
I had a couple questions on
Trustee
expenses.
Moser.
I'm curious to know why contractual services are disproportionately ahead, and also office supplies just in general. I don't know if you know that, anybody know that?
It may relate in part to the civic clerk concept, which is on 66, page 66. Which is
We pay that first, so it's an annual.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think he said that, I think he said civic.
And I'm hopeful that you're using it to its
Yes,
fullest.
yes, with the future.
Yeah.
Even more options.
Yeah, like all the options, so it's nice and useful. So I do like how the agendas are attaching to the attachments and all that. And then the other thing, did we use the contract for when we started Arnold's in part-time or no?
We did.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the other part. So during that transition period was also Arnold was covered under that section. We will not have a paid intern this year. So I don't anticipate going over.
So again, just going back to the civic clerk question on page 66, it's now saying that 2 months of the year, we're at 261.83% of budget for that.
Civic clerk should have its own line item
what might have happened is that Civic Clerk and the Civic Plus regular bill were combined. That's what I'm thinking there. Because Civic Clerk was paid ahead of time. So it could have been combined on that line.
That's what it's saying. And I'm just
Yeah, I
trying.
think we had two bills, Larisha, that were paid out of that line account, so we might just need a reclassification for that one.
Yeah, that one just needs to go under website maintenance. That's the reason why website
There we go.
maintenance is zero.
Yep,
And
that would,
that's what it is.
cool, thank
That
you,
makes sense.
mystery solved.
And we actually might have an intern this summer because Arnold is getting some people from Northwestern through a new program, but that's relatively new to come in and intern through a new program.
If they're academic, it's a little different than if they're an employee. Okay, any other questions on?
Yes, I have a question, James.
Yes.
Commissioner Steele, was at our last assessors luncheon in late April. And she said that the Board of Review expected to be finished with all of their 2024, excuse me, appeals within a week's time. So she was positing Monday, May 5th. And normally the holdup in getting tax bills out on time is if the assessor hasn't gotten things to the Board of Review, and the Board of Review cannot finish in time for it to go back to the clerk and or back to the assessor and the clerk and everything to roll. So I was just wondering where you heard this and if you knew what the holdup was.
Yeah, there were some articles that had just been published recently that had alluded to there being a holdup either at the Cook County Assessor or with, I guess they're using Tyler Technologies now. In terms of, trying to help, smooth out this process that had a very archaic system in place before. So I think that's what they're alluding to in terms of the delay. But it was in, I can send you the article.
If you would, I thank you, I'd appreciate it.
Chicago
course.
Tribune, County Property Tax.
I've had my head down.
They are blaming the assessor's office. It's a,
Good.
Circular fines.
yep. So, but yesterday was the article.
Thank you.
Tyler Technologies runs our e-filing system and they have not been immune from criticism either.
Also subject to many articles. Feel free to look them up. Anyway, yeah. Okay, any other discussion about the claims? Seeing none, we're in line for verification of claims. Trustee Moser.
I would like to make a motion to approve the town fund general assistance fund from March 1st, 2025, April 30th, 2025, as presented to the board this evening, May 13th, 2025.
Second,
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Supervisor Eisenberg,
Yes.
trustee Cassell McNally,
Yes.
trustee Robbins,
yes.
trustee Rubin,
Yes.
trustee Moser.
Yes.
Dale, do you need any input of us from us at all in terms of moving the money into Sawyer Faldudo, or those are decisions you guys can make?
No, we'll chat with James, make appropriate discussions, and then we'll chat, tell you guys what. We have assessors reports, Jan.
Yes. Only a couple of things. First of all, surprise, did anybody know we weren't open for appeals? Yet, we are open for appeals. Last day to file is June 5th. I realized as I started to write up a report for tonight that I had neglected to send out the March report that I gave. And I will do that just so we can get added to either added to the minutes or posted. And I thought rather than give a report tonight, because it was a very full night, I would just defer, any more information until June, by which time we will be finished with appeals and I will have lots more to say. So that's it for tonight.
Are there any outreach events during this period, or is it just?
Hopefully on the 27th, but I just got confirmation from the village of Winnetka today that we can have the 27th. And I didn't even, I got an email off to the county, but I don't know whether they still have the 27th available. The village was a little slow dealing with this. I was not altogether thrilled. But
But do please work with Melanie to get all the info out. People
Oh,
are
we've been.
concerned.
Oh, they are concerned.
And I thank you
We've
for
been-
your comments on, Nextdoor. You've been very good at your Nextdoor posts.
It troubles me greatly to see people just sending out, you know, I heard this and I heard that, and a lot of misinformation. I just want to get comments out and say, that's not how the system works. You can do this, you can do that. You can't do that other thing. Don't think about that. Just let it go.
I talked briefly with Leonard up here jury night, and he said the numbers are astonishing in some cases, 60, 80, 100%. It's not unusual. So how it's all gonna sort out, I don't know.
It's bad this time because everybody got boots. It isn't just a lot of outliers.
Yeah,
Yes.
you guys are gonna be exceptionally busy on this.
We've noticed. We have noticed, we have people calling and emailing back, and I really wish that I could just say without coming across as shut up. Every second and third and fourth email, et cetera, that you send us just delays us.
Yeah.
You did
So,
it once, we
yeah.
told you we had it, shut up, away.
Mm-hmm.
Let us do the work.
I certainly appreciate it's gonna be a crazy time right now, and it is already. I did recommend doing some sort of an automatic response, just saying, we've received it, you're in line, you will be responded to, so you don't get those.
We have, actually, I mean, we have done that, and, in Len's case, I just shoot out a real fast email and got it later, you know? So I can type that as fast as I can send an auto reply practically. But, they don't pay attention. I did it a week ago and you haven't got back to me yet. Why, no, we didn't say we would.
Just giving people a sense, like you're in line.
No, I
it
know,
might
but I'm
take a few
saying,
days.
we do, well, oh yeah, but as I say, their concept of a few days is not necessary, it doesn't keep them from sending another communication, shall we say.
It's fear. It's fear. Yes.
Oh, I know it is, it's,
Yeah, so
I think for some of them, it's abject terror. I think we passed well beyond fear.
Absolutely. Okay, public comment. Being none, we've been presented with 2 advisory committee applications. Is anyone? Is there a motion to approve the 2 advisory committee applications?
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion?
I wanted to say that, the 2 applications, both are interesting. Kurt, who's been in the village, in the township for 28 years, has very good, financial background. He's a CPA. He's also, done civic activities at Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Misericordia. But most importantly, he brings to the table, which will be invaluable to all our committees, a lot of asset management skills, and he's very much involved in efficiency and scalability. So he's got the kind of financial oversight that I think will make him invaluable on any board. The other gentleman, 10 years in the township, but he is a small business owner. He is a photographer, and business owners are wonderful. They bring a lot to the table. He doesn't have as much experience as some of our typical applicants, but he does do some lecturing and he conducts student portfolio reviews. I think that it would be nice to see things through his lens too. So I think both of them could be
I see
wonderful.
what you did
Through his
there.
lens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Noted.
No pun intended.
All right, any additional discussion? And my understanding from Steve is these are both for disability support funding and oversight committee.
Is that where we're gonna probably push them?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, seeing no additional discussion, all those in favor of approving the applications presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Okay. Executive session minute approval resolution, Ron.
Okay, see, this resolution posted in,
No.
No.
okay. So, Ross and I had talked about this in Gale, and, it just, every 6 months, you're supposed to have, a release of executive session minutes, which are delegate and first place meeting. However, our board, with transparency a goal for a long time, has said so few. I prepared one, and remember, this is not, I was not on the board at that time, that was when I was briefly off, and that's what was discussed. Now, the issue, you don't even post this on the website, but if somebody were to come in, we can produce a paper copy of approved minutes for that section. It's not supposed to be detailed, and I'm not supposed to mention this the specifics, but the time, place, attendees and topic is mentioned there, so. That is that.
And we do need to assess whether it should remain as closed session meeting minutes or should be released. And every 6 months, we make that determination. So I have asked Jerome to have a running resolution. He's promised me for the next month. Just so we can keep track of which meetings did have executive sessions. Obviously, some of them are from much before this board and, you know, we're just gonna have to do what we can do. But you have before you executive session minutes from January 11th, 2022. Is there a motion to release these minutes? Seeing none, we will take a vote on whether there is still a reason to keep these minutes closed, confidential. All those in favor of maintaining these as executive session meeting minutes as confidential, please raise your hand. Okay. That motion, then it is remaining closed. Okay, we'll see you in 6 months.
May I have a related question? Is there still audio recording of that,
Some.
of these minutes?
There-
Or of this?
There is a verbatim record.
Okay. We need to look into if that needs to also remain or can be destroyed. Because my recollection is from being on a different board, that those can be destroyed so long as we retain minutes.
We will certainly check. Good point. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Thank you.
And I guess it's just an interesting issue, we do, some townships have it on every agenda, and then others never, and we're on the never side. Almost never.
Okay.
We don't have too many executive sessions. We're very transparent. We don't have too much trouble.
But it's a different thinking, a lot of townships every month have this, yeah.
Or if you just have it every 6 months, then you're always covered.
All right. We are now looking at our legislative agenda. We have a resolution that township officials of Illinois have asked all townships in Illinois to pass in opposition of SB 2504, 2217, and 2515. These were the consolidation bills that were presented at the General Assembly. Like I said, I don't believe any of them are still moving. I'm double checking.
Checked earlier.
No. So this is very much ceremonial. But they have asked us to have this ready in case they do start moving again. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2025-01?
I thought it was, by way of discussion, I thought it was kind of hastily
We need a
drafted.
motion before we discuss.
Yeah.
Yes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Trustee Robbins.
It seemed like it was hastily drafted to me there, that last sentence right before the past. It seems like it should be above the whereas. It just says this would eliminate many community-based services that are important to the public. I think it should read, these bills would eliminate many community-based services that are important to the public. And that line should be moved up to immediately before the whereas. It's kind of like one of the grievances, and it just doesn't belong where it is in the proposed resolution.
Like I said, it was model resolution. We don't have to pass it at all because it is all ceremonial. But we are, it is presented here today. Yeah.
Can I get some color on the amendments?
The amendment.
Yeah, the proposed, House committee amendments.
Which one? For which bill?
Let's start with, page 122 and 123. Essentially saying that if something happens to you after this meeting.
Oh, no,
No,
that's a
no,
different
this-
bill. That's a different bill.
I'm sorry, I thought we were considering that all together.
No,
Okay.
no, we're
These are,
starting with 2025-01, the resolution regarding.
Making it easier to abolish townships.
Yes.
When I read the pending resolution for 2025, I kind of questioned what the source of it was, and why we were doing it, and also in the context of your comments, I had also heard that some of the bills that were moving quickly kind of died.
Yeah.
So all that taken into consideration, I wasn't sure that it was necessarily appropriate for us to pass this resolution.
Right, like I said, it came from township officials of Illinois. They asked that everybody consider it, so it is on our agenda. We do not need to pass it. It is completely ceremonial considering they're all dead.
It's just a format that they gave you.
Yes,
So they're probably not even aware of their own error.
right.
Okay.
There was some haste,
They don't have
there was a contagion with regard to cutting, and it spread even to the governor's office in
Yeah.
the state of Illinois. And that contagion is kind of maybe died down.
The SB
Some other things have happened in the-
2504.
Yeah.
2504 is the only one that is theoretically still alive, but my understanding from talking to the legislators is that it is, it's not even though it says that the deadline was extended, it's not really moving. The sponsor dropped it. So it had to be picked up again, as much as yeah.
So Gail, I would love to hear your input as to what is your suggestion that we do?
I really don't think we need to pass this. Yes. My theory has always been pending legislation. I don't, even though one of them is technically still pending, it's really not. So, any additional discussion?
I would move to table this item, pending what happens with the remaining bill, maybe.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second? Seeing none, is there a motion to call the question?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor of passing resolution 2025-01, please say aye. All those opposed? All right, fails. And let the record reflect it was, that the discussion was not that we support the bills, but we don't see a need to pass.
Unanimous, huh?
Yeah,
As written.
unanimous.
I would
Yes.
say as written.
Yeah. All right, so I'm bringing two bills to the board's attention for support. One is HB 32. HB 32 is the unlitigious bill, and that is the one regarding supervisor vacancies. We'll start with that one. Because I believe that was what your question was pertaining to.
You ready, Stefan?
Yeah. Okay, so. This has changed since we put it on the agenda, so there you go, thank you. Give me one moment. All right, given that the
It's-
bill has changed dramatically. I will ask that we table the bill.
I'm not against, I
Yes,
just am curious.
right, it's changed dramatically since placed on this budget, on this agenda. Interesting.
That's just 32 years.
So I will move to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of tabling, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That has been tabled, 38.2. All right, 3842 is the bill that was written by was Tracy Casmull, one of our own reps since bills, on behest of Northfield Township. Northfield Township has a special police district. And they want to be able to use some of the funds from the special police district for violence prevention. So it is very niche, but this would be to support our neighbor who supports us. I forgot to mention, they're giving us very large refrigerators coming up. So they are redoing their.
And there's still an Illinois Violence Prevention Authority too, isn't there?
There
So
is.
It's, we
There
do
are
have that.
various entities that
Yeah.
do violence prevention.
Yeah.
This would be specific to their community, so
Right.
it can be much more tailored.
Northfield has also been a wonderful partner. When we had our fire, they came to the rescue in a big way.
Absolutely. And this one is moving. So I would ask for support for that bill.
How do we express our support?
So we do what's called a witness slip. So right now the bill is set for executive committee. And I would put in saying use your township support. It's very
Is
So
that
the others
something-
who are supporting currently are the Cook County Sheriff's Office, Township Officials of Illinois, and the Metropolitan Township Association.
Can you also circulate the slip?
Yes.
So that we could do so in our individual capacity?
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll send that.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So I'll call to the question on that. All those in favor of supporting HB 3842, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, shall support. Okay, so that's our legislative.
Who stood moving second?
Me.
You were, and you
Second.
Yeah, thank you.
An update on some of the other bills that we had already agreed to support. The nonprofit investment pool bill from the treasurer's office is moving and should pass. We did slip in support. The Open Meetings Act amendments that we wanted and are all dead. Same with all the good Open Meetings Act stuff is gone. Same with FOIA changes are all gone. So unfortunate. There is always discussion about Open Meetings Act and FOIA changes being pushed into an omnibus. So there is still hope that we can not have to come here in person during an emergency. We're okay. We are now going to adjourn to the public hearing. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, everyone wants to do it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. We are now in our public budget hearing for the Town Fund and General Assistance Fund, Resolution 2025-1. This budget ordinance was published as required by law. Is there any additional discussion?
Yep.
Okay.
Have we double, triple checked all of the numbers, with respect to the agency programs?
Yes.
Cool, yep. Page 134, 135, and 136 references the 14th of May. Today's the 13th.
I changed that one here.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. Great. Any additional discussion? I did ask Steve to ask our agencies whether they've had some of their grants pulled by the federal government. 2 agencies had, one of which all of those particular grants or contracts are current subject to litigation and very well could be reinstated, and one that is probably gone. The one that is probably gone is $10,000 from the National Endowment for the Arts to Special Gifts Theater. Yes. So just, we do have, slush in mind if it becomes an issue for their ability to serve our people. But I wanted you all to be aware that we did check to make sure that there wasn't major changes, with our agencies.
Just want to say for the record, this being my last meeting, that for the federal government to pull money from Special Gifts Theater is unconscionable.
Agreed.
That is an outstanding agency,
Absolutely.
and the kids benefit immeasurably.
I will, for the record, some of the educational grants that were pulled initially are now starting to be reinstated. So as of today, a couple came back in that were pulled a month and a half ago. So perhaps there's some more.
There's yes, things don't seem to be particularly, but the National Endowment for the Arts, I believe, has been very much good.
Yes.
Yeah. So that particular pool, I'm not so sure. Now, of course, many of our agencies also receive significant Medicaid reimbursement. So separate from the grants, this budget process will impact them greatly. Okay, both at the federal and state level, of course. Any additional discussion about the ordinance?
I know we discussed wanting to possibly up the building budget next year. I know that we're anticipating getting some money from the state, which would be great, but the $100,000 is not stretching. Right, it includes our utilities, so the spend is very fast, and if I have to do a large fix, then, $100,000 just doesn't seem like a lot. But Gail and I have also discussed that
Yes. So that was the one thing I did want to bring up, was changing that line. For another 30,000. We obviously don't intend to spend if we don't have to, but just in case.
For next year.
Yes, for the next year's budget, the current year budget, no, the current year budget.
Since you published it, can you do that?
Yes,
Okay.
this is a public meeting. It is only written in PDF, if I say. Is there any discussion of that?
It's 30 and up.
Well, the basement repair is 83,000, the deposit is 52,000. I mean, we could use the current line, but it's gonna drain the line, you know, if we make the deposit while waiting on, you know, the state funds.
Right.
And there's a caveat in the estimate, if I recall. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
There was a chance that it could be higher depending upon removing the wood paneling in the second storeroom. We may discover that the masonry needs, so I don't know you might want to get the contractor to commit to without, what's the worst case scenario, just so we kind of know, we don't want there to be a lot of wiggle room there. But those
It's so hard though, because they don't know until
They don't know
there.
yeah, but since would we have a problem with them dismantling to check?
We need to dismantle no matter what, right?
So maybe they could take a peek underneath there.
Anyway, so I am asking for that number to go up to 30, and that would be an amendment to the current ordinance. Is there a second? Second. Any additional discussion?
I like what Stefan was thinking, he was wondering whether 30 might be enough, should we build in a little more cushion?
Do you have a motion to amend?
Larisha, would 50 be, I know that's pushing the envelope a little bit, but would that make you feel a little more comfortable?
Honestly, like with them, I mean, they've done a pretty good check they've been here many, many months. And this is actually a really good cost. I actually thought it was gonna be a lot higher, but
Yes,
knowing this building and knowing what to anticipate, in order for us to not go over the budget, I would say it would be more reasonable to give us cushion.
I have another issue. If you don't get the state fund, you're not gonna redo the basement, or you are gonna redo the basement. If you are gonna redo the basement, all the more reason for having to reduce some funds.
Right, we would be having to do it anyway.
Yes. But
Yeah, exactly. That's what the concern is that, it's, you bring an umbrella, it won't rain, right? So, science.
but it's a matter of health and safety
It is.
to our employees, to our
It's
officials, and
something
to
that
our
probably should have
volunteers.
been done years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a motion to amend on the floor. Is there a second?
Sorry, the current motion to amend is 30.
I had the motion to amend to 30, his amendment to my amendment is at 50. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment to 50, I'll say aye.
Aye.
We'll do it at the full, on the full resolution, yep. Seeing none, now we are in line for, consideration of the full resolution on the ordinance, and we will call the roll.
As amended.
As amended.
amended.
Trustee Rubin,
Yes.
trustee Robbins,
Yes,
trustee Mosher,
Yeah.
trustee Cassell McNally,
Yes.
and supervisor Eisenberg.
Yes. Great. Is there a motion to reconvene the regular board meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
second,
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we're back. Acknowledgement of staff reports. We have received staff reports. Is there anyone who would like to bring anything from one of the reports out for discussion?
In Larisha's, I think it's a very good idea to have there be a, void after 60 days on the checks. I think that the concept that people are holding on to these and kind of is holding us up for, a long time is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Agreed. So I'm pro that.
Anything else? Just remember to bring all of your children's clothes. We are currently in the middle of our children's clothing drive. Wonderful.
In Melanie's, we briefly touched on this earlier, but in terms of the paper shredding and prescription drug take back for, just to kind of amend what she was, or add on to what she was noting in her report. We have already started, having conversations literally as we were standing there, about next year's event, and pushing it earlier. And so that we will have a better, more traditional, on-ramp to kind of making sure everybody knows about it. Also, we had, a lot fewer folks come this year, in part because we believe, in addition to the publicity, that, we did not this year do, collection of electronics. So we're thinking that maybe we do that every other year so that it doesn't, totally fill things up, each year, but that, we are kind of meeting our neighbors' needs where they are. So, I know that Melanie is already working with, our friends, over at Virginia Dominican, who are so gracious each year to let us host with them.
And thank you to Kate for coming, and her kids, as always, very strong. So, and to Regina as well, so, but yes, we do wanna make sure we get that on the agenda earlier. It was not in our annual report this year, in the past it had been. So there was confusion about the dates. Okay, anything else?
I
Yes,
didn't see, and maybe it just wasn't in my pocket, but, did Brian? see
He did
that?
not.
Okay.
I can report on pure jury that we had, one new case and 2 returns last month. And, everybody's doing well. I don't know what we have on schedule for this month, and we've got new jurors applying, and our crop is robust and nice group of jurors. In fact, our peer jury award winner is continuing to show up, even though, he's a senior that he will work through the summer. We're in good shape.
and all of the board liaisons will get appointed at the next meeting for the following year.
I had some questions regarding Arnold's report.
Yes,
I was really impressed with the possibility of some real savings here.
Mhm.
I understand getting rid of the steak and increasing the ground beef. I also don't have a problem with removing the big juices, because there's a lot of sugar and so on. The one thing that kind of stuck out was the milk. Some people really need that. I mean, if people need milk, are we giving them the milk, or are we eliminating milk?
So, we have already eliminated milk for basically the entire time that I've been here.
How is that
And
gone
I
over?
have gotten one complaint, and after I explained the reason why we don't stock it anymore, he understood, and he said that it's okay, and he can always go to the store and get some milk. But very much, when I first got here, in the first 4 weeks of February, really, every single time that we would buy milk, we would throw away all of it.
yes,
All of it.
Either all of it, or like one person would get a half gallon.
The shelf life is short, right?
Yeah.
Milk shelf life is very short, and it is very cheap. So when people are choosing between, nice
Eggs.
butter, eggs, cheese, or
To fill their
nice
bags, right.
yogurts, like the Chobani yogurts that we offer, the choice will always be to get the more expensive items rather than the milk that you can get for 99 cents on sale or $1.99 for a gallon.
Yeah.
So that is the reason that decision was made, and so far we've saved probably I'd say probably $160 just based on that.
Outstanding. The salary issue came up in the report. I don't know if that is properly before us or not.
well, it can be up for discussion, but we do not have salary reviews until next year. I just want to say that we're very excited to have you, and you're doing an amazing job. This report's great. I love a good,
Yes.
chart. So we're very happy, and I'm, looking forward to being able to offer you a raise when I am able to.
And I just need a clarification. Were you thinking that it was gonna be 37.5 hours a week and it's 35 or
Yeah.
vice versa?
I didn't know that it was an hour lunch. So the hour lunch kind of takes away a little bit.
But are you working 35 or 37.5 or 40? I can't
Well,
understand.
So right now, the way that the week is set up, right, since I'm hourly, right? Back like 35, because I have to take the hour lunch, that's the hour off, right? I thought it was gonna be, like, I get a 30-minute break, like unpaid, which would be 37.5. It kind of works out because I do a lot of like Saturday work. So it does like add to my hours. However, like,
So when you work on Saturday, you're submitting those hours, we're covering it.
yeah, but for
Right.
the entirety of the winter, that will not be the case, right?
You have a few hours less than you were expecting.
Yes,
Understood.
but, sorry,
Supervisor's aware of it and she's gonna deal with it.
yeah, I agree, it's lower.
Excellent.
And it is, paid for time, done, so, if you take a 30-minute lunch, we pay you for the rest of the day, right? So it doesn't have to be an hour lunch.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I do not know.
I think people call it lunch out.
I thought,
Yeah.
I thought differently, but.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for cleaning that up.
Yes,
Excellent report.
absolutely. And excellent, changes, the changes that you've, brought to me have been really well taken and have been great additions. Okay. Any additional discussion of the staff reports? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I just have to say, since we're on staff reports, Jeannie, it goes without saying, your report is outstanding every single time.
I'm sorry, what was you saying?
I just wanted to let Jeannie know that it goes without saying that her reports are outstanding all the time.
Oh, she closed. Yeah. All right, is there a motion to adjourn Cindy
That's the one, yeah. Forever.
forever? Yes. All
Wait, you do, not the tradition that you do the.
I don't know.
right, I got trustee Mo.
Oh, I'm sorry, but you're still with us.
He's withdrawn
Not my
it. Is there a motion to adjourn Cindy?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? See you at inauguration in a minute. Wonderful.
So you adjourn forever, so that's.
Oh, you guys
that
have to
was-
sign this.